Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered when those extra wrinkles appeared? Or maybe you've noticed your energy levels aren't what they used to be, and you're feeling older than your actual years. I know the feeling. When I turned 65, I remember waking up one morning and feeling like I'd aged 10 years overnight. My joints were stiff, my energy was low, and I thought, is this just what getting older is supposed to feel like? Well, I'm here to tell you that the answer is absolutely not. While we can't stop the calendar pages from turning, we absolutely can influence how our bodies and minds experience those passing years. The truth is, many of us have picked up habits throughout our lives that are secretly accelerating the aging process, habits that might seem innocent or even normal, but are actually working against us every single day. I've spent years researching healthy aging and working with thousands of people in our age group, and I've identified 4 deadly habits that consistently accelerate aging. The good news? Once you recognize these habits, you can take simple steps to eliminate them and potentially add years of vibrant living to your life. In this video, we'll explore these 4 habits in depth and learn exactly how to replace them with age-defying alternatives. And I promise these aren't complicated lifestyle overhauls that require you to completely reinvent yourself. These are practical, manageable changes that anyone can implement regardless of your current health situation. Before we dive in, I want to share something personal with you. About 7 years ago, my brother-in-law Richard was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes at age 68. His doctor told him he'd need medication for the rest of his life. Richard felt defeated, like his best years were behind him, but then he learned about these exact habits we're discussing today and decided to make some changes. Within 6 months, he had reversed his diabetes, lost 32 pounds, and had more energy than he'd had in decades. His doctor was amazed, and so was everyone who knew him. Richard's transformation wasn't magic. It was simply the result of identifying and eliminating these aging accelerators we're about to discuss. So let's get started with the first deadly habit, chronic dehydration. Now, I know what you might be thinking, drinking water, that's your big secret. But hear me out, because proper hydration is far more powerful than most people realize, especially as we age. As we get older, our body's ability to sense thirst diminishes significantly. Research shows that by age 65, many of us have a reduced thirst response, which means we often don't feel thirsty, even when our bodies desperately need water. This silent dehydration accelerates aging in ways most people never connect to their water intake. Think about your skin for a moment. When you're dehydrated, your skin loses elasticity faster, leading to more pronounced wrinkles and that papery, thin appearance that we often associate with aging. But it's not just about appearances. Dehydration affects every system in your body. Your joints need that fluid to stay lubricated and pain-free. Your digestive system relies on adequate hydration to prevent constipation, a common complaint. As we age, your brain function, energy levels, and even your mood all suffer when you're not properly hydrated. I remember meeting Martha, a 72-year-old who came to one of my workshops complaining of constant fatigue, frequent headaches, and persistent brain fog. She was convinced these were just unavoidable parts of aging. When I suggested she might be chronically dehydrated, she was skeptical. I drink plenty of coffee throughout the day, she told me, and therein lay part of the problem. Many of us in our generation grew up in a coffee culture, and while there's nothing wrong with enjoying your morning cup, many older adults are essentially running on caffeine and other dehydrating beverages all day long. What Martha didn't realize was that her coffee habit was actually contributing to her dehydration, not helping it. So, how do we break this deadly habit? First, let's talk about how much water you should actually be drinking. The old 8 glasses a day rule isn't personalized enough. A better approach is to take your weight in pounds, divide it by 2, and that's roughly how many ounces of water you should aim for daily. So if you weigh 160 pounds, you'd aim for about 80 ounces of water throughout the day. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. If I drink that much water, I'll be running to the bathroom all day. And that's a valid concern, especially for those of us dealing with bladder issues. Here's a workaround that has helped many people I've worked with. Front-load your hydration. Drink more water earlier in the day and taper off in the evening hours. This simple adjustment can dramatically reduce nighttime trips to the bathroom while still ensuring you get adequate hydration. Another helpful strategy is to infuse your water with natural flavors. Slice up some cucumber, lemon, berries, or mint and add them to your water. This not only makes hydration more enjoyable, but also adds beneficial nutrients and antioxidants to your water. I keep a pitcher in my refrigerator with sliced oranges and a cinnamon stick. It's refreshing and feels like a treat rather than a chore. Smart hydration also means recognizing hidden sources of dehydration in your life. Certain medications common among our age group can contribute to dehydration. If you're on diuretics for blood pressure, certain antidepressants, or even some allergy medications, you may need to be even more intentional about your water intake. Don't hesitate to discuss this with your doctor or pharmacist. Salt consumption is another hidden dehydrator. Many processed foods and restaurant meals contain far more sodium than our bodies need, which can pull water from our cells and contribute to chronic dehydration. By preparing more meals at home and using herbs and spices instead of salt, you can reduce this dehydrating effect. Let me share a simple system that has worked wonders for many people I've coached. It's what I call the water first rule. Before each meal or snack, before your morning coffee, and before any other beverage, drink 8 to 12 ounces of water. This guarantees that hydration takes priority throughout your day. Within just a few weeks of implementing this strategy, many people report plumper skin, improved digestion, greater mental clarity, and more consistent energy levels. Dorothy, a 78-year-old participant in my Healthy Aging program, adopted this water-first approach after struggling with persistent constipation for years. Within 2 weeks, her digestive issues had resolved almost completely. But she also noticed something unexpected. The chronic knee pain that had been troubling her for nearly a decade had diminished significantly. Her doctor explained that proper hydration had improved the synovial fluid in her knee joints, providing better cushioning and reducing inflammation. Another benefit of proper hydration that's rarely discussed is its impact on medication efficacy. Many medications we take as we age work optimally when our bodies are well hydrated. This means the simple act of drinking enough water could potentially make your existing medications work better. Something worth considering before adding more prescriptions to your regimen. If you're not sure if you're dehydrated, there's a simple test you can do right now. Gently pinch the skin on the back of your hand, then release it. If the skin takes more than a second or two to return to normal, you're likely dehydrated. Another indicator is the color of your urine. It should be a pale straw-like color most of the time. Darker urine is a clear sign that your body needs more water. Breaking the chronic dehydration habit isn't just about adding years to your life. It's about adding life to your years. Proper hydration gives you the energy to play with grandchildren, the mental clarity to engage in your favorite hobbies, and the physical comfort to enjoy everyday activities without the aches and pains we often mistakenly attribute simply to aging. Now, let's move on to the second deadly habit that's accelerating aging for so many people over 60. Chronic stress and poor sleep. These two factors are so interconnected that I consider them a single compound habit that's devastating to our longevity and quality of life. You know, stress and poor sleep form a vicious cycle that dramatically accelerates aging. When we're stressed, our bodies produce cortisol, often called the stress hormone. While cortisol serves important functions in small doses, chronic elevation of this hormone is like pouring gasoline on the aging fire. Elevated cortisol breaks down collagen in your skin, weakens your immune system, contributes to belly fat, accumulation, and even shrinks parts of your brain related to memory. And here's where the cycle really becomes deadly. This same stress makes quality sleep nearly impossible. When you can't sleep, your body produces even more cortisol, creating a downward spiral that ages you from the inside out. It's no coincidence that when we look at someone and think they've aged overnight, it's often during periods of extreme stress or sleep deprivation. I witnessed this firsthand with my dear friend Eleanor. At 67, she became the primary caregiver for her husband. After his stroke, the constant worry and interrupted sleep took a visible toll. Within just 8 months, she developed high blood pressure, gained 22 pounds, and looked a decade older. Her doctor actually asked if she was feeling all right because the change was so dramatic. What many people don't realize is that after 60, our bodies become even more sensitive to the effects of stress and poor sleep. The repair mechanisms that helped us bounce back in our younger years don't work as efficiently. This means that the stress you might have handled just fine at 40 can be genuinely harmful at 65. Sleep patterns also naturally change as we age. Many of us experience more difficulty falling asleep, staying asleep, or getting the deep restorative sleep our bodies need for repair. But here's the crucial point. While these changes are common, accepting chronic sleep problems as just part of aging is one of the biggest mistakes we can make. So how do we break this deadly habit? Let's start with managing stress, since reduced stress naturally improves sleep quality. The most effective stress reduction technique I found for our age group isn't complicated or expensive. It's something called pattern interruption. When we feel stress mounting, our thoughts tend to race along familiar negative tracks. Pattern interruption is exactly what it sounds like, consciously breaking that pattern. One simple method is the 4-7-8 breathing technique. You inhale quietly through your nose for 4 seconds, hold your breath for 7 seconds, and exhale completely through your mouth for 8 seconds. This simple pattern activates your parasympathetic nervous system, your body's natural calming mechanism. I recommend practicing this breathing pattern several times a day, especially before potentially stressful situations. Making it a regular habit trains your body to return to a state of calm more easily, even when challenges arise. Another powerful stress reduction practice is what I call worry scheduling. Rather than letting anxious thoughts intrude throughout your day, set aside a specific 15-minute period, not right before bed, dedicated solely to worrying. When worries pop up during other times, simply note them down for your worry period and return your focus to the present moment. This practice has helped countless people I've worked with regain control over runaway stress. Now, let's talk about transforming your sleep. The first step is to treat your bedroom as a sleep sanctuary. Many of us have developed the habit of watching television in bed or scrolling through news on our phones right before sleep. The blue light from these devices suppresses melatonin, your sleep hormone, making it much harder to fall asleep and stay asleep. Instead, create a technology curfew for yourself. No screens at least 1 hour before bedtime. Replace that habit with something genuinely relaxing, like gentle stretching, reading a physical book, preferably something enjoyable rather than stimulating, or listening to calming music. Temperature also plays a crucial role in sleep quality as we age. Our temperature regulation systems become less efficient, but most people don't adjust their sleep environment accordingly. Research shows that a slightly cool room, around 65-68 degrees Fahrenheit, promotes deeper sleep. Consider adjusting your thermostat or using layers of blankets that can be removed if you experience night sweats. Consistency is another key that many people overlook. Your body's internal clock thrives on regularity. Going to bed and waking up at approximately the same time, even on weekends, helps regulate your circadian rhythm. This consistency is particularly important after 60, when our internal clocks become more sensitive to disruption. Let me tell you about Gerald, a 73-year-old retired teacher who struggled with insomnia for years. He tried various sleep medications but was concerned about side effects and dependency. When we worked together, Gerald implemented 3 simple changes. He established a firm technology curfew at 8:30 p.m., created a 20-minute bedtime ritual of gentle stretching and meditation, and committed to a consistent sleep-wake schedule. Within 3 weeks, Gerald was falling asleep within 15 minutes of going to bed and waking naturally after 7 hours of restful sleep. His daytime energy improved dramatically, his persistent indigestion resolved, and friends commented that he looked years younger. The transformation in his quality of life was remarkable, all from breaking the poor sleep habit. For those of you who struggle with waking up during the night, a common issue for many of us, I recommend avoiding the temptation to check the time. Seeing that it's 3 a.m. often triggers thoughts like, "I'll never get back to sleep," or calculations about how little sleep you'll get, which increases anxiety and makes returning to sleep even more difficult. Consider turning your clock away from the bed or covering it. What about supplements? While melatonin is widely used, many people in our age group take far too much. For adults over 60, starting with just 0.5 to 1 mg, not the 5 to 10 mg commonly sold, is often more effective and produces fewer side effects like morning grogginess. Magnesium glycinate is another supplement worth considering, as it supports muscle relaxation and has calming properties without the potential side effects of prescription sleep medications. Ultimately, breaking the stress-poor sleep cycle isn't just about adding years to your life. It's about feeling genuinely good in the years you have. When Eleanor, my friend I mentioned earlier, finally accepted help with caregiving and implemented these sleep strategies, her blood pressure normalized, her energy returned, and that accelerated aging process visibly reversed. Now let's move on to the third deadly habit that's silently aging so many of us: inflammatory eating patterns. This habit might be the most insidious because many foods marketed as healthy or even senior-friendly are actually creating constant, low-grade inflammation in your body, essentially aging you from the inside out. Inflammation is your body's natural response to injury or infection, and in the short term, it's beneficial. But when inflammation becomes chronic, it accelerates nearly every aspect of aging, from joint pain and skin wrinkling to cognitive decline and heart disease. And unfortunately, the standard American diet is practically designed to create this chronic inflammation. One of the biggest culprits might surprise you. It's not just obvious junk food, but rather what I call false friends. Foods marketed as healthy options that actually trigger inflammatory responses. Chief among these are processed foods, containing refined carbohydrates, even those labeled whole grain or heart healthy. Take the typical breakfast many health-conscious seniors eat: whole grain toast with margarine and a glass of orange juice. This meal sends your blood sugar soaring, triggers insulin release, and initiates inflammatory processes that can last for hours. The margarine likely contains inflammatory omega-6 fats, while the juice delivers a concentrated sugar hit without the fiber of whole fruit. I remember meeting Harold, a 71-year-old who exercised regularly and prided himself on following what he thought was a healthy diet, low in fat, high in whole grains. Despite his efforts, Harold struggled with painful joint inflammation, persistent brain fog, and steadily increasing blood pressure. Harold was doing everything he thought was right, yet his body was aging faster than his years. When Harold examined his diet more closely, he discovered he was consuming inflammatory foods at nearly every meal. The breakfast cereal marketed to lower cholesterol, the sandwich on whole wheat bread at lunch, the pasta he enjoyed several times a week. Each of these meals was triggering inflammatory cascades in his body. So how do we break this deadly habit The first step is recognizing that inflammation is often driven by blood sugar fluctuations. Foods that rapidly convert to sugar in your bloodstream, even those we don't think of as sugary, can trigger inflammatory responses. This includes most breads, cereals, pasta, rice, and potatoes, staples many of us have built our diets around for decades. Instead, focus on true anti-inflammatory foods, colorful vegetables, especially leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower, and brightly colored peppers and berries. These foods are rich in antioxidants that actively combat inflammation. Quality proteins from sources like fatty fish, eggs, and moderate amounts of properly raised meats provide the amino acids your body needs for repair without triggering inflammation. Healthy fats are another crucial component of an anti-inflammatory diet. Avocados, olive oil, nuts, and seeds provide fats that actually help resolve inflammation rather than promote it. Many people in our generation were raised to fear fat, but research has conclusively shown that the right fats are essential for healthy aging. One simple strategy that's been transformative for many people I work with is what I call the plate proportion method. Fill half your plate with non-starchy vegetables, a quarter with quality protein, and the remaining quarter with either starchy vegetables like sweet potatoes or whole food carbohydrates like quinoa or legumes. This natural proportion automatically creates meals that stabilize blood sugar and reduce inflammation. Timing also matters. Many of us grew up being told to eat several small meals throughout the day, but research now shows that giving your digestive system regular breaks can dramatically reduce inflammation. Simply consolidating your eating into an 8 to 10 hour window, for example, having your first meal at 10 a.m. and your last by 6 or 7 p.m., gives your body crucial time to repair, rather than constantly processing food. Let me share what happened when Harold implemented these changes. Within just 3 weeks of eliminating inflammatory false friends and embracing truly anti-inflammatory foods, his joint pain had decreased by about 70%. His brain fog lifted, his energy improved, and after 3 months, his doctor reduced his blood pressure medication. 6 months later, his blood markers of inflammation had normalized, and he reported feeling better than he had in 15 years. What's particularly powerful about breaking this inflammatory eating habit is how quickly you can experience results. Unlike some health changes that take months to notice, reducing dietary inflammation often produces noticeable improvements in joint pain, energy, skin appearance, and digestive comfort within just 10 to 14 days. A simple way to test this for yourself is to eliminate the most common inflammatory triggers for just 2 weeks. These include all refined grains, bread, pasta, cereal, added sugars and artificial sweeteners, industrial seed oils, corn, soybean, canola, processed dairy. Replace these with abundant vegetables of all colors, moderate amounts of whole fruits quality. Proteins, healthy fats like olive oil, avocados, and nuts, small amounts of truly whole grains if you tolerate them well. After 2 weeks, reintroduce one food category at a time and notice how your body responds. This process helps you identify your personal inflammatory triggers, which can differ from person to person. Now, let's discuss the fourth deadly habit that ages us faster, one that's rarely addressed directly in health conversations. Sedentary living combined with improper movement. I call this the sitting disease, and it might be the most pervasive age accelerator in modern life. Our bodies were designed for regular, varied movement throughout the day, yet most of us have adopted lifestyles where we sit for hours at a time, watching television, using computers, driving, or just relaxing in our favorite recliners. What many don't realize is that prolonged sitting triggers a cascade of negative changes in your body within just 30 minutes. When you sit for extended periods, your metabolism slows dramatically, circulation decreases, and your muscles begin to atrophy. Perhaps most concerning is what happens to your fascia, the connective tissue that wraps around muscles, organs, and joints. This tissue literally begins to harden and adhere to itself, creating the stiffness we often attribute simply to getting older. I remember meeting Barbara, a 76-year-old former dance instructor who had gradually become more sedentary after retirement. She described waking up one morning and finding she could barely reach down to put on her socks. "When did I get so old?" she wondered. The truth was, Barbara wasn't experiencing inevitable aging. She was experiencing the effects of the sitting disease. What makes this habit particularly deadly is that even regular exercise sessions can't fully counteract the effects of prolonged sitting. You've probably heard the phrase, "sitting is the new smoking," and research increasingly supports this comparison. Studies show that people who sit for more than 8 hours daily have risks of premature death similar to those from obesity and smoking, even if they exercise regularly. The good news is that breaking this deadly habit doesn't require intense workout regimens or expensive equipment. The solution starts with a simple mindset shift, thinking of movement as something that should be distributed throughout your day rather than confined to a dedicated exercise time. One of the most effective strategies I recommend is what I call movement snacking, taking brief movement breaks throughout your day. Set a timer to remind yourself to get up every 30 minutes, even if just for 2-3 minutes of gentle movement. These mini breaks have a profound effect on your metabolism, circulation, and joint health. Some simple movement snacks include standing up and doing 5 to 10 gentle knee raises, walking to another room and back, reaching your arms overhead and gently bending side to side, practicing balancing on one foot while holding onto a stable surface, rolling your shoulders backward and forward. These might seem too simple to make a difference, but research shows these micro movements throughout the day have more impact on longevity than a single longer exercise session. Another critical aspect of proper movement is maintaining what physical therapists call functional mobility, your ability to move through the basic ranges of motion needed for everyday life. As we age, we tend to use an increasingly narrow range of movements, which leads to stiffness and loss of function in the neglected ranges. A simple daily practice that counteracts this tendency is what I call the 7 fundamental movements. Spend just 5 minutes each morning moving your major joints through: squatting, holding onto something stable if needed; hinging at the hips; pushing movements, like a wall push-up; pulling movements, like rowing motions with a resistance band; rotating your torso gently in both directions; reaching overhead, walking with intentional arm swings. Barbara, the former dance instructor I mentioned, began implementing movement snacks and the 7 fundamental movements daily. Within just 3 weeks, she regained enough mobility to put on her socks easily. After 2 months, she could garden, again without back pain. 6 months later, she returned to a modified dance class, something she never thought would be possible again. What's particularly important to understand about movement is that it's not just about physical benefits. Movement directly affects brain health and cognitive function. When you move, your body produces proteins called brain-derived neurotrophic factors, BDNF, that actually protect your neural connections and stimulate the growth of new brain cells, a process we now know continues well into our 80s and beyond. For those concerned about joint issues or existing mobility limitations, water-based movement can be transformative. The buoyancy of water reduces pressure on joints while providing natural resistance for strength building. Many community centers offer water exercise classes specifically designed for seniors, and these can be game changers for those who find land-based movement challenging. Another aspect of movement that's often overlooked is the importance of varying the surfaces you walk on. Modern life has us walking primarily on flat, even surfaces, which reduces the subtle balance challenges your brain and body need, Simply taking regular walks on slightly uneven terrain, like a grassy park or a nature trail, activates proprioception and balance systems that tend to deteriorate with age. I worked with George, an 82-year-old who had become increasingly fearful of falling after 2 minor stumbles. This fear had caused him to further limit his movement, creating a dangerous downward spiral. We started with seated stability exercises and gradually progressed to standing balance challenges, always in a safe environment. Eventually, George began walking daily on a wood chip path in his local park. The varied terrain gently challenged his balance systems, and within 3 months, his confidence and stability had improved remarkably. His fear of falling diminished, allowing him to engage more fully in life again. Breaking the sitting disease. Habit is truly about reclaiming your birthright to move comfortably in your body. It's not about punishing exercise regimens or trying to look a certain way. It's about nurturing your body's natural desire for varied, gentle movement throughout the day. Now, having explored these 4 deadly habits, chronic dehydration, stress and poor sleep, inflammatory eating, and sedentary living, it's important to recognize how interconnected they are. Each habit affects and amplifies the others, creating either a vicious cycle of accelerated aging or, when properly addressed, a virtuous cycle of renewal and vitality. For example, when you break the sedentary habit with regular movement, you naturally reduce stress, which improves sleep quality. Better sleep reduces inflammation, making it easier to make wise food choices. Proper hydration supports all of these processes, creating an upward spiral of well-being. I've seen this transformation countless times in people I've worked with. Take Margaret, a 68-year-old who came to one of my workshops feeling, in her words, old before my time. She was dealing with chronic fatigue, persistent joint pain, frequent headaches, and a general sense that her best years were behind her. Through gentle, consistent changes addressing each of these 4 habits, Margaret experienced what she calls her second spring. Within 3 months, her energy had rebounded dramatically. Her joint pain decreased by about 80%. Her sleep improved to the point where she woke feeling genuinely refreshed for the first time in decades. Perhaps most meaningful to Margaret was the return of mental clarity and emotional resilience. She felt like herself again, capable of fully engaging with life rather than just getting through each day. What I want you to take away from our discussion today is that so much of what we attribute to inevitable aging is actually the result of these 4 deadly habits. By recognizing and addressing them, you can experience a profound renewal at any age. Start where you are. You don't need to transform all 4 habits simultaneously. In fact, making small, sustainable changes in just one area often creates a positive momentum that makes addressing the others easier. Perhaps begin with increasing your water intake using the water first rule we discussed, or commit to movement, snacks throughout your day. Choose the habit that feels most accessible to you right now. Remember that your body has a remarkable capacity for renewal. Even cellular damage that's accumulated over decades can begin to reverse when these habits are addressed. Studies of cellular markers of aging show improvements within weeks when these key lifestyle factors are optimized. I believe deeply in your ability to make these changes, regardless of your current health status or how long these habits have been part of your life. I've witnessed transformations in people well into their 80s and even 90s. It's truly never too late to reclaim your vitality. I'd love to hear about your experiences as you begin addressing these habits. Which one resonates most strongly with you? Have you already noticed improvement by changing any of these patterns? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insight might be exactly what another viewer needs to hear. If you found this information valuable, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel. We're dedicated to providing practical, evidence-based strategies for vibrant aging without the hype or false promises so common in health information today. I also want to acknowledge that making these changes isn't always easy, especially if you've been practicing these habits for many decades. Be patient and gentle with yourself through this process. Celebrate small victories, notice improvements as they emerge, and remember that each positive choice you make today is an investment in your future well-being. Let me leave you with a thought that has guided my approach to aging for many years now. We cannot add years to our life with absolute certainty, but we can absolutely add life to our years through the choices we make each day. By addressing these 4 deadly habits, you're not just extending your lifespan, you're expanding your health span, those precious years of active, engaged living that make life truly worth living. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Here's to your health, your vitality, and your vibrant future at any age. Remember, it's never too late to feel better than you do right now. Until next time, take good care of that magnificent body of yours. It's the only place you have to live, and please don't forget to subscribe.